This week saw the release of Absolute Superman #3, the latest in DC's new line of Absolute comics, which are set in a brand new universe, unbeholden to decades of continuity where everything has changed. This universe was created by Darkseid and is shaped in his image. As such, our heroes look quite different, as almost every advantage they ever had was taken away from them at the start. Batman is no longer a billionaire socialite by day, he's a working class civil engineer. Wonder Woman isn't the princess of a perfect island nation populated entirely by women, she was raised in hell by a witch. And Superman wasn't raised as an infant in Kansas, instead he didn't leave Krypton until he was much older, possibly a teenager. When we last saw Superman, he had managed to escape from the Peacemakers, the special army of a multinational corporation, Lazarus Corp, and their top operative, Lois Lane. We had a handful of glimpses at Superman's backstory in the previous 2 issues, but we get our best look at life on Krypton yet in this issue. Almost all of the story is set on Krypton 6 years ago. There are quite a few things that I think are worth talking about, but the first thing I wanted to discuss is the payoff from what was teased in issue 2. So last issue showed a flashback where Jor-El expressed optimism about showing the Science Council of Krypton his irrefutable findings about the damage that has been done to the planet. I noted at the time that this seemed pretty naive to think that they would hear him out. And oh boy was I right. Jor-El wasn't even able to get through the door to meet with the council before he was arrested and convicted of heresy. This seems like a strong reaction from the council, but it transpires that they already knew that Krypton was doomed and didn't want to draw attention to it while they created their own means of escaping. This kind of reminds me of how the billionaires in the real world seem to be competing to develop interplanetary travel rather than dedicating their resources to fixing the planet. The council couldn't afford even a hint of this information becoming public, so they opted to execute Jor-El quickly and without a fair trial. Another not at all subtle comparison to the real world is how the people of Steel are the ones that are on the front line of dealing with the crisis, as their crops rot in the ground, livestock drops dead, and Krypton's waters become toxic. Much like how developing nations experience the worst of climate change firsthand and don't have the means to do anything about it. But the hypocrisy of the supposed elites is staggering. They claim to be the font of all knowledge, but they are deliberately misleading the public. I am reminded of Superman the Animated Series version of Brainiac, who was the artificial intelligence that ran Krypton. It too denied Jor-El's claims, while secretly making plans to ensure its own survival. I imagine that the leaders will make the same argument it did. They are the keepers of Krypton's knowledge, therefore they are Krypton, not the people that live there. They must be preserved at all costs. One of the things I really liked is how Kal-El exposed them by writing a news bulletin from within the Central Law Office and posted it online for everyone to read. Young Kal-El's first piece of journalism, and it will likely be quite explosive. As it was shared by the official source of news, and it clearly stated how the elites were hiding Krypton's fate while they planned their own escape, now everyone knows. Perhaps we'll see the fallout of this in the next issue. Earlier in the issue we had seen how Kal-El had been ostracised because he wasn't using the AI tools that students were supposed to use to generate their articles. Instead, he preferred to write his own words to document his experiences, not just regurgitating approved facts. Kal describes himself as being socially awkward, not liking to make eye contact with people outside of his family, and someone that struggled to learn in school. But he clearly demonstrates that he isn't stupid or a problem child, he just sees the world in a different way, which is something that I'm sure a lot of neurodivergent people can relate to. Both Jor-El and Lara support and encourage Kal-El to continue living his life the way that suits him, even if his teachers and classmates don't like it. His parents know that he is a perceptive and caring young man, and they believe that is more important than getting good grades in school. Kal had no interest in joining the ranks of the scientist class. He wanted to be a man of steel, so really, school was just a formality for him. As Jor-El and Lara know, once society brands you as something, you can't shake the label, no matter how talented you are. Jor-El had been on track to joining the scientist caste, but his environmentalist views were in direct contradiction with the established knowledge of Krypton, so he was shuffled off to the working classes. Likewise, Lara had a promising future ahead of her, but when she was 9 years old, she was critical of the Science Council's resistance towards space travel, which forever prevented her from joining their ranks. Now, speaking of Lara, this childhood experience clearly left her feeling jaded, but it didn't stop her from learning. As well as working on the rocket that would be used to save Kal, she developed Sol, the suit that he would wear as Superman. She put Sol to good use in this issue, as she and Krypto rescue Jor-El from his execution. And look at what a good boy Krypto is, perfectly timed to coincide with James Gunn's Superman trailer. Note that the guards that work for the Science Council have the Z symbol emblazoned on their chests. This likely doesn't refer to General Zod specifically, but he is probably a member of this cast, assuming he exists. Lara utterly decimates these guards with her weapon that seems to fire lava at people, causing the cast symbols on their chests to melt. Not at all subtle imagery there. It seems like Sol increases her speed and strength even under a red sun. But the biggest surprise in this issue is the fact that Lara finishes the rocket that takes Kal to Earth. Only this time it's big enough for lots of people, specifically the El family and as many of their friends and neighbours as they can carry. I suppose that the tagline for these Absolute books is that everything is different and that you should expect the unexpected. They already demonstrated that Kal didn't arrive on Earth as an infant and wasn't raised in Kansas. But it's important to note that their departure from Krypton took place 6 years ago. A lot can happen in the meantime. We don't even know for sure that Jor-El and Lara make it off the planet. Note that Sol refers to Kal as the last surviving El family member in issue 1, so something clearly happened to his parents at some point in some place. I have to wonder if Kal's article exposing the elites will come back to haunt them. Given that the elites were aware of what was happening to the planet and their means of escape, it's possible that other Kryptonians also fled Krypton. But they are some of the worst people, the cruel, callous, arrogant people that ruled Krypton and ran it into the ground. We'll have to wait and see in future issues if any other Kryptonians are able to escape. The last thing I wanted to talk about is the final page, set in the present day at a care home in Kansas. Martha Kent is receiving end-of-life care, and the orderlies mention how she calls out for her son despite the fact that records state she has no family. But we see a photo on her bedside of 2 people. One, her husband Jonathan, who has likely already passed away. The second, a young man with dark hair, who she refers to as an angel, begging him to come back where he belongs. So maybe it was a bit premature to suggest that this Superman wasn't a Kent. Absolute Superman number 3 is available now from all good comic shops. If you're based in the UK and don't have a comic shop near you, then you might want to use my affiliate link with the UK's largest comic book retailer, Forbidden Planet. I have included a link in this video's description. Alternatively, if the idea of hoarding a collection of comic books fills you with dread, I'm getting perilously close to filling up our storage unit, you may want to try getting a digital copy of the issue from Amazon. I also have a global affiliate link which you could use to help my channel out. I've included my Amazon affiliate link in the info button in the top right corner, as well as the video's description. And just before I wrap up, special thanks to all of my current channel members who help make these videos possible. Their names are listed on screen right now. For those that have already read the book, what did you think? Was the allegory too blunt for your liking, or did it give you food for thought? Is Superman the last surviving Kryptonian, or simply the last surviving member of the El family, as far as he's aware? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I got one more comic book video coming out this week looking at Two-Face number 2, as if I could resist that, where Two-Face has to defend King from the Royal Flush Gang against accusations of infidelity. But next week I'll be back to talk about the 4th issue of Absolute Batman, to see if Batman really will take up Black Mask on his peace offer. Hope to see you then.